speaking of hate speech, I
There,
know you had
there
something you
is,
wanted. There
yeah, I
is
do.
quite a lot of. I mean, I mean, not. I mean,
This, well, this,
it's not
I'm not.
literally, but there's a fair few times where you go, "Oh, a white person just said the
Yeah,
N
so
word" or something.
basically, this is, it is a spoiler, but and
Oh, is it?
this,
Oh, so hang on, hang on,
well,
hang on. Oh, yeah.
well, it isn't. Basically, you're gonna hear the N word a lot
That's not really
in
a
this
spoiler,
film.
but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Now, obviously, if people have already watched this film, they kind of know it. If you grew up in
yeah.
the 90s, it was semi-normal, not to a point that racism was acceptable. No, far from it. And the way that the N word gets used in this is you will hear it far more from black people than you will from anybody else. But you do actually still hear it from white people, but in the kind of correct context of how black people are using it into terms of another black person. So I would say
I
to
mean,
someone who
I go on, no, go on, go on.
no, okay. The point I'm trying to say, I'm not justifying the use of the N word.
Yeah,
Far from it. Okay. And it's good that we don't use it anywhere near as much. But if you have never watched this movie or you're not used to films of 30 years ago, this was not normal, but more commonplace. And I'm
see, I
not
don't think it
justifying, I'm
was.
not saying,
I don't think it
okay,
was. I think,
I'm,
and if it was, I think it was because of Pulp Fiction. I think you
yeah,
put the
that's
cart
the
before the
point I was
horse.
getting to. It's much more commonplace for a Tarantino movie
Yeah,
than you would see in other movies.
I think a lot
So
of people, a lot of white people, sort of went to see Tarantino movies and then started casually dropping like the N word or whatever or other
yeah,
slurs,
they did.
and
They
and
did.
then and then
Yeah.
said, oh, but it's all right because it's
Yeah.
ironic
But it
or it's all
wasn't
right. That
because
'90s thing. No, it wasn't all right,
yeah,
but it
it
wasn't
wasn't all right.
it wasn't
And
all right then. It isn't all right now. But
what what
well, no,
Tarantino was
but actually,
doing, what Tarantino was doing when he made Pulp Fiction was actually highlighting at that time in the midnight in the early 90s how black people referred to each other in groups and how a white person in a certain context with a group of black people would be allowed to use the N word in relation to talking about other black people they knew in, but
I
outside of that context, it wouldn't be. And black people would use the N word as a term and phrase for just other black
well, they
people.
sort of reclaimed it.
But they
Well,
do,
I
yeah,
mean,
they were
some black
reclaiming it.
people have
Yeah,
reclaimed the
exactly.
term.
It
Yeah,
was a
trying to take his
reclaiming.
power away
It
or
was
whatever.
a
Yeah,
reclaiming of the N word to say, no, we don't want this for derogatory terms. We're going to own it. This is what we
same
are.
same
This
as
is,
the
yeah,
same as the word queer has been reclaimed by the
exactly.
queer
Yeah,
community. Like,
exactly.
which
So,
I still don't feel comfortable saying
no,
queer in
and
that sense
it
because
can,
to me it feels
yeah,
I know it's kind of allowed, I think, in terms
mm,
of like culture, and people say queer cinema, queer art, queer
mm,
music, whatever. And it's interesting that I don't know if he's the only one in the film, but the one that springs to mind, the white character who liberally
mm,
uses the N word in the film, is
yeah,
played by Quentin Tarantino himself. I almost feel like
yeah,
he's sort
exactly.
of like saying, "Hey, look, I'm so cool. I'm so down with the brothers that I can say
Well,
the N word to Samuel L. Jackson's
That's what
face."
I'm saying. Yeah,
And
in a
it's almost like
certain
it's like a sort of
context.
cultural, some sort of
Yeah,
cultural flex, and it's really
exactly.
interesting. Like whether you think it's, I mean, I don't think it's acceptable.
No, neither
It's,
do I, but I can understand how he's used it and
but
in the
it's
term
interesting to
he's
think about why
referring
he
to
thinks
it.
it's all right. Why
And in some ways, it is kind of a reclaiming of black people having an ownership over that word. So it's not used in a derogative manner for them to own it, but
yeah,
only
yeah.
white people could only use it in a very, very particular context, in a very particular range where black people were there and they would almost allow it to be used.
But you've got to ask yourself, haven't you? Like, why would you even want to use that?
Yeah, exactly.
Unless it was some
Exactly.
kind of, unless it is some kind of desperate attempt, like he's so desperate to. Maybe it is a kind of weird sort of thing where, like, I'm not. This isn't an excuse, but maybe it
Mm,
is some kind of thing where, like, I'm so desperate. God, I really wish I was black too. Like a lot of white people who really want to be
yeah.
black and this sort of thing. Like, what's
Mm.
the ultimate way
Well, I want to
to
be
be as
part of the
black as
club.
black
I want to
people
be
is
part.
to use
Yeah.
the N word. In
Yeah.
the same way that they
Exactly.
do,
And
as if that's all right.
I
Which
guess the reason that I'm bringing this up in this talk is there are going to be people that aren't going to be used to that, that aren't going to watch, that are going to
watching
watch
the
Pulp
film, yeah,
Fiction and not be ready for this, and
yeah.
it's going to hit them, and it's going to to hit them hard. And again, for us to watch it, some aspects do still feel a bit. Ooh,
I mean, it's still, it
that's
is
a
kind of
bit.
shocking. It
Yeah,
is
it
still
is
shocking if you don't,
because we are not
if you have seen
used
it.
to it. And yeah, Tarantino, particularly in this film, this is where he really does use the N word more than I think he has in any of his other movies.
I think Jackie Brown. I think
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it was black people using black characters, I should say, were using it that
exactly.
because he got because
Yeah.
Spike Lee sort of had a go at him, didn't he? For
Hmm.
um, like why do you why you always want to use the N word,
Yeah,
Quentin?
word. Yeah,
And
exactly.
I think they had a sort of
But
falling
you
out
know,
about
some people are going to get thrown off by it, but hopefully, when they see it, they'll understand in the kind of context it is being used in a kind of
and
reclaiming a re-ownership.
and you
I
can
feel
understand it,
anyway.
but you can understand it without
Yeah,
having to like it as well.
exactly. I don't endorse it. Far from it.
No,
And I'm glad as a society we've kind of moved on and moved forwards, and
but the
have
weird thing
greater
is
degree
though,
of respect about each other.
but the thing is though, you're talking about it as if like oh, back in the '90s, back in the old days, it was still alright. No, it
No,
wasn't.
no, I
It wasn't
don't.
acceptable then
Yeah, it
either.
wasn't.
No, but
No,
it
it
wasn't
wasn't
acceptable. It
acceptable
wasn't. I don't think
then.
it was generally considered acceptable then either.
No, no, I
I
agree.
think it was a deliberate attempt to shock and
It
a
was.
provocation.
It was. It
For
was
whatever
part.
reason he did it.